Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It's Monday. What the hell's been happening over the weekend? I hear a lot. Some good stuff, some bad stuff, but we're going to cover it. We're mostly going to cover mostly. Let's go ahead and get into our headlines so we can see what we're covering. Today on Before Coffee, from chocolate to sex toys. How companies are cashing in on advent calendars.
And Rudy Guiliani is gonna pay. A jury will decide how much.
Member states and MEPs strike deal on EU AI Act after drawn-out intense talks, which we've been talking about for months at this point.
A New Zealand man makes his own map of the world. By hand.
Boycott Eurovision? Backlash as Israel approved for participation in 2024.
Those stories and more on what is National Stretching Day, which is December 11th, 2023, on Before Coffee.
All right, let's go into our first story about advent calendars. That's right. This, what is usually, I think, seen as a British commodity, has seemed to be going all over the place and making a lot of cash for companies. This is by Heloise Ervoy on Euronews Business. Christmas advent calendars are evolving beyond chocolate. Companies now offer calendars with elaborate products, from craft beers to books to sex toys, employing a lucrative market strategy that not only attracts sales, but also helps customers save money during the holiday season. No matter your taste, there's an advent calendar out there for you. Lego sets, beauty products, fancy chocolates, liqueur, tea, coffee, candles. Many businesses use the period leading up to Christmas to put in a range of fun or lavish calendars. The trend in retailers selling posh advent calendars with hefty price tags has gone crazy in recent years, consumer expert Sue Hayward told Euronews Business. Brands are using this growing trend as a market tool to push their clients to discover a wide variety of products that they might normally ignore. Virtually no one would come out of the tea store with 25 different sorts of Earl Grey and chai, but acquiring such a range of flavors is made more accessible by the small samples featured in every diversifying advent calendar business. My bookish advent calendar from the Traveling Reader is here. Come on, December 1st already. And no, I haven't peaked yet. As the main name suggests, the calendars are used to count down the days of the Advent, the period of anticipation for the birth of Christ, in the run-up to Christmas, and as such, they originally featured the nativity scene, Bible verses, and prayers. Over time, the calendar's doors, opened each day of December until the 25th, evolved to contain a small piece of chocolate behind them, nowadays usually only costing a few euros in their more classic forms. While the traditional chocolate calendar remains the popular option, it's nigh impossible to scroll through social media in November and not be tempted by the more elaborate offerings, whose price quickly climb into the double or triple digits. Yes, I've seen these very expensive calendars, like, oh, that looks interesting, and then I'm like, I don't want to spend that much on mystery goods. Thinking outside the box, some can cost way more than some people could afford to spend on Christmas present, Hayward said. Luxury fashion brand Dior offers a €600 calendar filled with beauty products and scented candles that are probably upmarked and they're not worth that much. These can even get a little bit more risky. Websites specialized in adult products also have pricey options where couples or individuals get to discover sexy items throughout December. While these unorthodox advent gifts might seem way out of customers' usual price range, there's often a great bargain hiding behind these 25 doors. At least that's what they tell you. All these things in this box are worth €1,000, but we're giving it to you for 600. Okay, but you set the prices for those, right? So those items probably are worth $600 to begin with, and you have been upmarking them this whole time. Hayward recommends thinking outside the box, seeing beyond what can be seen as an expensive first glance. Some beauty versions actually house a haul of products worth way more than the calendar price tag. So if you buy one, open it up and give the goodies a Christmas present. This could save you money on your shopping bill. Although a more luxurious advent calendar might represent a hefty sum to pay at once, it allows clients to buy a selection of products for a fraction of their market value. For instance, Passage de Désir a website that specializes in sex toys and lingerie, offers a couple's advent calendar for $189, when all the items bought separately would cost over $600. Indeed, the offer shows just how any business can make use of an advent calendar strategy. Well, it's the same as buying like mystery boxes. That was a thing for a while. You could go to a website and say, give me your mystery box, and you would just get random mystery items that they have in stock. And they'll even say, everything in this box could be up to worth to this amount, so that you feel like you saved money. It introduces you to practices you might not have otherwise have dared, like making love handcuffs, said Patrick Prouveau, founder of Passage de Desire. Grown-ups want to treat themselves for Christmas too. Since launching their sexy calendar, November has become the brand's biggest month in sales, 20% ahead of December. That was historically our strongest month of the year, given we're present-oriented business, Prouveau said. Boosting sales for retailers and savings for customers, the evolving world of advent calendars not only reflects diverse consumer preferences, but also showcases company creativity and innovation, adding a twist to the countdown to Christmas. So, I don't know, get your wallet out and start buying expensive advent calendars. I don't know. I've been tempted myself. There was like a Pokemon card advent calendar, and I've always had like a slight obsession with Pokemon cards, but I haven't been collecting them a very long time, so I put them in my basket, and then I decided, I'm probably not gonna buy this because when you leave it in your basket for like a week and then go back to it, you decide, wait, I don't need this. It was just like the mood I was in at the time is that I needed to buy this advent calendar. But that's my story. So on to yours.
Okay, well, in legal news, this is from AP. Jury trial will decide how much Giuliani must pay election workers over false election claims. AP Lindsay Whitehurst and Alana Durkin-Richer. Washington. A trial set to get underway in Washington on Monday will determine how much Giuliani will have to pay to Georgia election workers who falsely accused of fraud while pushing Donald Trump's defendant Jay Trump's baseless claims after he lost the 2020 election. The former New York City mayor has already been found liable in the defamation lawsuit brought by Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Shay Moss, who endured threats of harassment after they became the target of a conspiracy theory spread by defendant Trump and his allies. The only issue to be determined at the trial, which began with jury selection in Washington federal court, is the amount of damages Giuliani must pay. The case is among many legal and financial woes mounting for Giuliani, who has celebrated as America's mayor by fools in the media in the aftermath of the 9/11 terrorist attack and became one of the most ardent promoters of Trump's re-election. Giuliani is criminally charged alongside Trump and others in the Georgia case, accusing them of trying to legally overturn the results of the election in the state. He has pleaded not guilty and maintains he had every right to raise questions. Shut up. He was sued in September by a former lawyer who alleged Giuliani only paid a fraction of the roughly $1.6 million in legal fees stemming from an investigation into his efforts to keep Trump in the White House, and the judge overseeing the election workers' lawsuit has already ordered Giuliani and his business entities to pay tens of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. Moss had worked for the Fulton County Elections Department since 2012 and supervised absentee ballot operation during the 2020 election. Freeman was a temporary election worker verifying signatures on absentee ballots and preparing them to be counted and processed. Giuliani and other Trump cretins seized on surveillance footage to push a conspiracy theory that the election workers pulled fraudulent ballots out of suitcases. The claims were quickly debunked by Georgia election officials who found no improper counting of ballots. The women have said the false claims led to a barrage of violent threats and harassments from scumbags that at one point forced Freeman to flee her home for more than 2 months. An emotional testimony for U.S. House Committee on Investigated U.S. Attack Moss recounted receiving an onslaught of threatening racist messages. In her August decision holding Giuliani liable in the case, U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell said she gave only lip service to complying to his legal obligations and he had failed to turn over information requested by mother and daughter. The judge in October said that Giuliani flagrantly disregarded an order to provide documents concerning his personal and business assets. She said that jurors deciding the amount of damages will be told they must infer that Giuliani was intentionally trying to hide financial documents in hopes of artificially deflating his net worth. Giuliani conceded in July that he made public comments falsely claiming Freeman and Moss committed fraud, tried to alter the outcome. But Giuliani argued that the statements were protected by the First Amendment. Okay, so Rudy Giuliani continues to be one of the worst human beings on the planet. So I guess that's not really news, but it's just an update of, yes, someday, perhaps, we will see justice in this case. And okay, I guess that's really not news. Rudy Giuliani.
Update, they're still deliberating on whether they're going to do anything about it.
The guy that makes everybody's skin crawl, including probably Donald Point.
Okay, well, in actually things being done news, I guess, member states and MEPs strike a deal. They've finally successfully decided to pass an AI resolution in the EU. This is by Jorge Libriero on Euronews. Member states in the European Parliament have reached a preliminary deal on the AI Act, the world's first attempt to regulate the fast-evolving technology in a comprehensive, ethics-based manner. The agreement was struck at the political level on Friday night after talks that occupied the entire day and followed an unsuccessful marathon between Wednesday and Thursday afternoon. In total, the entire push took more than 35 hours of arguing, I'm assuming. God. The breakthrough came amid aggressive lobbying from tech companies of all sizes, stark warnings from civil society, and intense media scrutiny, as the legislation from Brussels could very well influence similar regulatory efforts across the world. Thank God. Historic! The EU becomes the first continent to set clear rules for the use of AI, said Thierry Breton, the European Commission for the Internal Market, who took part in the debate. The AI Act is much more than a rulebook. It's a launch pad for EU startups and researchers to lead the global AI race. The negotiations were a hard-fought back and forth between governments and lawmakers over a string of highly complex and technical issues. Having sealed on Thursday a tentative compromise to rein in the foundation models that power chatbots like OpenAI's ChatGPT, Friday's talks had a strong focus on the use of real-time biometrics, including facial recognition in public spaces. At the core of the debate was the question of whether state authorities should be allowed to deploy AI-powered biometric systems that can identify, categorize people based on sensitive characteristics such as gender, race, ethnicity, religion, and political affiliation, as well as systems of emotion recognition and predictive policy. That's right. Can we see somebody on CCTV, decide they're a terrorist because they look a certain way, and then arrest them before they've done anything wrong? Wait a minute, isn't this a plot of a film? Let's not do that, guys. Let's not use predictive policy with AI. AI is only as smart as its creators, and humans are not smart enough to predict the future. In their joint mandate, MEPs said these practices were intrusive and discriminatory, 100%, and therefore should be prohibited across EU territory. You can't turn the EU into a police state where you're always watching your back because they're watching you. No one should be living that way. No one. Member states, though, had quite a different opinion and argued exceptions for the law enforcement were necessary to track down criminals and threats against national security. Why are governments so, stubbornly wanting to create a world in which there's no crime? That's not gonna happen. As long as there's inequality in the world, as long as we don't have equity, there's gonna be crime. They should work on that. They should work on the positive things, not the symptoms. They should work on the causes, not the symptoms. France approved earlier this year legislation to enable the use of biometric surveillance during the 2024 Paris Olympics and Paralympics, a first for an EU country. The clash between national security and fundamental rights absorbed most of the energy on Friday. That makes sense. Spain, the current holder of the Council's rotating presidency, had the hard task of representing the 27 member states and keeping a united front. Talks were interrupted by a protracted recess where lawmakers discussed among themselves demands made by the Spanish presidency. Meanwhile, scholars and activists took to social media to urge MEPs to resist the exemptions from the law for law enforcement. In the end, the parliament relented and signed up to a series of strict conditions that will allow authorities to use real-time biometrics to search for victims of abduction, trafficking, and sexual exploitation, prevent terrorist threats, which literally means anything. Prevent terrorist threats. I don't like how you look. You might be a terrorist. Terrorism is such a broad term that you might as well just say, we're gonna watch everyone. Everyone stay inside, away from any sort of public infrastructure because they're watching you. Locate people suspected of having committed serious crimes such as terrorism, murder, rape, and armed robbery. By contrast, biometric categorization based on sensitive characteristics, social scoring, predictive policing, and the exploitation of vulnerable and emotion recognition in the workplace and educational institutions will be prohibited, but only if they don't get caught. We've fought hard for the ban on biometric identification, said Brando Benefi, a socialist MEP who served as co-rapporteur. It was important to bring all these pieces together. All these things are very strong regime that say this kind of uses of AI we don't want in our union and in our market, says Dragos Tudarsh, the other co-rapporteur. Given the complexity of the issue at hand, the compromise that emerged from the drawn-out talks is likely to require further fine-tuning in the coming days, especially when they find out that nobody's following them. Jaime Artigas, Spain's Secretary of State for Digitalization and AI, insisted that every article had been agreed upon without leaving any loopholes to circumvent respect of human rights. Once the legal text, which covers hundreds of pages in articles and annexes, is written, it will be sent to the European Parliament for a new vote in the hemicycle, followed by the green light by the countries in the Council. And then one country is going to be like, I don't green light this, and then they'll have to start all over again. No! First pretended in April 2021, the AI Act is a groundbreaking attempt to ensure the most radical transformative technology of the 21st century, and is developed in a human-centric, ethically responsible manner that prevents and contains its most harmful consequences. The Act is essential as product safety regulation that imposes a staggering set of rules that companies need to follow before offering their services to consumers anywhere across the bloc's single market. The law proposes a pyramid-like structure that splits AI-powered products into four main categories according to potential risks they pose to the safety of citizens and their fundamental rights: minimal, limited, high, and unacceptable. And I think a lot of these things might be unacceptable. Although this risk-based approach was well received back in 2021, it came under extraordinary pressure in late 2022 when OpenAI launched ChatGPT and unleashed a global furor of chatbots. ChatGPT was soon followed by Google's Bard, Microsoft's Bing Chat, and most recently, Amazon's Q. Chatbots are powerful by foundation models, which are trained with vast troves of data such as text, images, music, speech, and code to fulfill a wide and fluid set of tasks that can change over time, rather than having a specific, unmodifiable purpose. The Commission's original purpose did not introduce any provisions for foundation models, forcing lawmakers to scrap everything they were doing and make a new law. Basically, the daunting prospect of thrusting the landmark law into limbo in the lead up to next year's European elections acted on a motivation to bridge the gaps and strike a preliminary deal, which now foresees transparency requirements for chatbots to ensure users are aware they interact with an AI-powered system. The AI Act is a global first, said Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission. A unique legal framework for the development of AI you can trust, and for the safety and fundamental rights of people and businesses, a commitment we took in our political guidelines, and we delivered. So there you go. We'll just see if it actually is a law and how it will turn out in about probably 10 to 20 years. And we'll say, boy, that was a waste of time. It did nothing, or oh God, why didn't we do more laws in there? I don't know. I think you can probably amend and add stuff to European clause, so they can definitely amend stuff if something comes up. I was hoping to see more stuff about the stolen AI art. That's what I was kind of looking for, because that's really what I am worried about in the coming future, is that for some reason we'll be using robots to create our art instead of human minds, which sounds soul-sucking. So, on to your next story.
I'm sure AI will follow the golden rule, which is, of course, he who has the gold makes the rules.
Exactly.
If Google's algorithm is an example of AI, we're headed for hell, because it just keeps linking me to like their AdSense. Hey, maybe you'd like this right-wing website. I'm like, no. Why do you keep? I gotta report them. Like, stop sending me these ads that piss me off. Okay. In news briefs today, we're gonna cover Matt Gaetz might be the next person expelled from Congress. That's right. This is from USA Today. He is hated. Congress floats idea of expelling Gaetz pending ethics investigation. After becoming the first congressman ever successfully pushed through a motion to oust the Speaker of the House. This is from USA Today, Brandon Girard. Matt Gaetz could make history again by becoming the 7th congressman to expel from history. Gaetz led a handful of Republicans removing former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy from his top position in October. Now, after voting to expel embattled former Rep. George Santos, Republican from New York, from his seat in the House, Republicans, the lawmakers could be ready to move on ongoing investigation by the House Ethics Committee against Gaetz should it discover any wrongdoings. The House Ethics Committee, I know, sounds like an oxymoron, is investigating several allegations against Gaetz, including sexual misconduct, illicit drug use, and misuse of campaign funds. On the House floor, Gaetz said he would not defend Santos, but did voice concerns about the precedent that would be set if Congress removed a member before they had been convicted of a crime. However, anonymous members of Congress who spoke with USA Today said a lot of forethought had been considered before the vote, including what would happen to Gaetz when his report comes out. So Matt Gaetz, again, one of the biggest blowhards in Congress. I got Kevin McCarthy ousted. He's the one that raised the issue, and they've been even more chaos ever since. And also in news briefs, we had some tornadoes in Tennessee. Let's see if we can find that story that's actually going to play, because my phone does its own thing again. Let's go to AP and let's figure out what they're going to say about it. that play some music. My story disappeared. Let's try somebody that's more reliable. Okay. Friends and family mourn those killed after tornado strike in Tennessee. Associated Press. Clicking on the old story here. That's a video. I'm not going to watch a video. Why are you giving me videos? All right, skipping that story. Let's just say there's tornadoes in Tennessee that killed at least 7 people and dozens as storms ripped through the eastern part of the United States last night. So there's your story on that, because my artificial intelligence decides to play ads instead of the story I wanted to watch, and basically ate up my phone, so 5 different things open that I couldn't read. Okay. And our lead story in news briefs, this is from New York Times. A world map with national borders and 1,642 animals. That's right, a man in New Zealand, a self-taught cartographer and outdoorsman, spent 3 years on obsessive labor of love with few parallels. In July 2020, the universe shrunk to a 2-bedroom apartment by a rattling trail line. Anton Thomas pulled out an H pencil and opened a portal to the world. At once, his days of solitude were filled with New Zealand's native birds, cavorting dolphins, turtles, and whales, and polar bears and ice floes. 3 years, approximately 2,602 working hours, and 1,642 animal species later, Wild World is a hand-drawn map of our planet that both inspires and celebrates wonder. Mr. Thomas, an exuberant New Zealander living in Melbourne, Australia, initially anticipated spending less than a year in the project. But as the months wore on and he sank deeper into the opportunity to escape spiritually and to not go mad, he said the scope of the task grew, as sometimes a wrench to drag himself away at the end of the day. A hiker and outdoorsman, Mr. Thomas, as a child, yearned for a world. God damn it. Mr. Thomas, as a child, yearned for a world where nature ruled supreme. His map represents an idealistic planet that I wanted, Mr. Thomas, 34, said. I would look out at Wellington Harbor in the New Zealand capital and see all the houses, imagine what it's like before any humans showed up. To craft each creature with sufficient detail, he drew mostly under magnifying glass, using sandpaper to sculpt his pencil ends to fastidious points. Almost as time-consuming was the research guiding his hand. Should a South Atlantic archipelago be written as the Falkland Islands or the Las Malvinas? Did it matter that the thylacine, sometimes called the Tasmanian tiger, is probably extinct? Was a fighting bull Spain's most iconic animal? So Mr. Thomas set himself guidelines. Animals should be native to their location and neither domesticated nor extinct. The names of places would, where possible, be the ones preferred by the inhabitants. Human-made borders do not feature. In practice, this meant both names appear. The thylacine does not. The map uses here we go, jumping pages again. Here we go. The map uses a natural Earth projection. Its center runs through 11 degrees east of Greenwich Meridian, just past Oslo, in part to give New Zealand and Fiji a more harmonious placement. Despite striving for neutrality, Mr. Thomas acknowledges any inclusion or omission will spark debate. Either way, you're having a conversation. Mr. Thomas spent his first years in Nelson, a small New Zealand port city. To him, its mountains and rivers were a paradise far eclipsing the fantasy settings of children's books or video games. Son of an artist, he has no formal training beyond drawing maps, some also illustrated with his jaunty animal life from his earliest boyhood. Then as now, he said he understood cartography and simply represented drawing from a distance. So you can find this, maybe I can send you the link and you can post it, but it's USA Today, not USA Today, holy crap. It's a New York Times front page, and it's got this map actually presented with a lot of footnotes. So if you scroll on the map, it'll show you different parts of the map, and it'll, interesting artifacts. So there's your news briefs for today. Back to you.
Such interactive stuff today. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
In our culture news, let us look at Eurovision. That's right. There's been backlash ever since the Israel-Palestinian conflict broke out all over the world. And honestly, before now, actually, it's been a problem. People have complained about European countries that aren't European being in Eurovision. And a lot of people are going to boycott Eurovision because they don't agree with Israel being included. This is by David Morquand at Euronews Culture. United by music, or united by committing genocide. Eurovision faces backlash after Israel is approved for 2024 participation. Israel has been included on the list of participating countries for Eurovision 2024, leading many to call for the country to be banned from the contest due to the ongoing war, and for the boycott of next year's Eurovision. According to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNWRA, nearly 1.9 million people, more than 85% of the population in Gaza, have been displaced across the Strip since the 7th October attack on Israel by Hamas militants, in which 1,200 people were killed and around 240 taken hostage. I am 100% boycotting Eurovision because they decided to include Israel and Azerbaijan despite their atrocities and crimes against humanity. What a nasty organization, says I am Georgine on Twitter. I am long past time to kick Israel out. They did with Russia last year. Eurovision, says Bionic Laura on Twitter. United by music or united by committing genocide. Israel needs to go. Same thing that happened with Russia. You are applauding and approving violence and genocide. Following online criticism, the European Broadcasting Union released a statement regarding Israel's participation in Eurovision, saying it has currently no plans to ban Israel from the Eurovision Song Contest. The Eurovision Song Contest is a competition for public broadcasters from all over Europe and the Middle East. It is a contest for broadcasters, not for governments. And the Israel Public Broadcaster has been participating in the contest for 50 years. The EBU is a member-led organization. The EBU's governing body, led by board of directors, represents the members. These bodies assessed the list of participants and decided that the Israel Public Broadcaster complies with all competition rules, including freely sharing propaganda, I'm sure. Together with 36 other broadcasters, it will be able to participate in the competition next year. The EBU based its decision on current attitudes of other international organizations towards Israel. At the moment, there is an exclusive attitude towards Israel participants in major competition. The Eurovision Song Contest remains a non-political event, uniting audiences worldwide through music, yet they still banned Russia. Because what? They also share propaganda? Facing comparisons between Israel being allowed in the contest and Russia being banned, Russia was included in Eurovision 2022 due to the country's invasion of Ukraine. Wait, that sounds really political. The EBU explained, in 2022, following the invasion of Ukraine, the EBU's governing body decided to exclude Russia from the Eurovision Song Contest, where they were to compete alongside Ukraine. Oh, okay. So it's all about music, but if these people are going to fight each other, we might as well just ban one of them. Okay. As said before, the Eurovision Song Contest is a competition for broadcasters. After repeated violations of membership obligation and violation of the values of public media, Russia was suspended. But somehow Israel hasn't broken these violations, which, Israel hasn't, and I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not gonna do a freaking debunking video on it, but I'm in a big doubt. Sweden will host the 68th Eurovision Song Contest next May, following Lauren's win in Liverpool this year with the song Tattoo. Her victory meant that Ireland and Sweden are now tied for the most Eurovision Song Contest wins, with 7 each. The world's biggest live music event is being staged in Malmo, marking the third time the city has hosted the contest. Israel has won the contest in 1978, 79, and 1998, and most recently in 2018 when Netta Brazali won Toy in Lisbon. So, are you going to be watching? I'm not. I've never watched it, to be fair, so I don't think I'll be watching it this year, because I've never watched it to begin with. But some people out there might want to go against watching it because they don't agree with who's participating. I know there will be some people who will protest purposely, probably even boo Israel, because that's the only way they can protest against it, I guess. So that is my culture news segment. On to this day in history.
Now, very soon we have to cover all the other wars that are going on that the media just, their deaths are somehow less significant. And, we're not making ridicule, we're not making fun of war and deaths in any part of the world, but we are making fun of the way the media only covers some of them.
Yeah.
Like, one life, we know life theoretically is sacred and it's, just sanctity of life, but unfortunately, we value some lives over other ones, and I'm not sure why. On this day in history. Oh, by the way, I did send you a link, so maybe start at the 55-second mark or something. It's old video, that's all. But actually, it's pretty cool. Anyway, you get to watch people fight. All right, this day in history. We'll start from the bottom like we always do. Start from the farthest reaches of the past, where nobody remembers any of this stuff. We only go back to 1845 today. On this day, the Sonderbund was formed by 7 Roman Catholic conservative Swiss cantons that I cannot pronounce most of them, so I won't try, to oppose anti-Catholic measures by Protestant liberal cantons. In 1911, Egyptian novelist and screenplay writer Naguib Mahfouz, the first Arabic writer to be awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature, was born in Cairo on this day in 1911. 1941, Hitler declared that Germany was at war with the United States following the Japanese attacks on the U.S., British and Dutch positions in the Pacific and in East Asia. So Hitler just totally off the cuff, and something that involved him, declares war. 1946, UNICEF, a United Nations program devoted to improving the health, nutrition, education, and general welfare of children, was established. In 1967, the acclaimed American film Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? A lesson in racial tolerance and etiquette premiered in New York City. It starred Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, and Sidney Poitier. In 1972, Apollo 17 astronauts Eugene Cernan and Harrison Schmitt, who we talked about the other day, became the last humans to walk on the moon. Eugene Cernan and Harrison Schmitt, less famous than basically everyone, but they walked on the moon. So there you go. You didn't, they did. They rule over you in every conversation you'll ever have. 1978. On this day, nearly $6 million in cash and jewels was stolen from the air cargo building of one of Germany's airlines, Lufthansa, which is actually covered in the movie Goodfellas, which was pulled off by the character played by Robert De Niro in Goodfellas. At the time, the Lufthansa heist, as it became known, was the largest ever cash theft in the United States. And lots of people got whacked in Goodfellas after that because they went out and started buying stuff. I need a new car, and my wife needs a fur coat. Hey, moron, we just robbed a bank. Don't you think that looks suspicious? 1981. Well, they robbed an airline. On this day in 1981, American boxer Muhammad Ali fought his last professional fight, losing to Trevor Berbick, who you've never heard of, which that tells you it's time to hang it up. 1994, Russian troops invaded Chechnya in an effort to suppress the rebel Chechen government led by Khakar Dudyayev. In 1998, the Judiciary Committee, U.S. House of Representatives, started their impeachment against Bill Clinton. In 2012, Indian sitarist Ravi Shankar, who was influential in stimulating Western appreciation of Indian music, died at the age of 92. Ravi Shankar, also famously the father of Norah Jones. Not a lot of people know that because her last name is Jones. 1936. On this day, our featured event was the abdication of King Edward VIII. That's right, Edward VIII, failing to win acceptance for his desire to marry American divorcee Wallace Warfield Simpson, became the only British sovereign to voluntarily resign the crowd, his abdication being formally approved in 1936. Of course, we think in our 21st century Enlightenment that he actually resigned because he was a Nazi sympathizer. And it turns out he was a Nazi sympathizer. Okay, and this featured birthday today,
Sometimes history's right.
What?
Sometimes history gets it right.
Well, the official deal, he's marrying a widowed divorcee, he's marrying a divorcee or an American or whatever. Of course, famously, King Charles's wife is a divorcee. Camilla Parker Bowles.
Mm-hmm.
Bowles is her married name. Hello. So our featured biography, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, a Russian expatriate and person who was kept in a gulag. He was an author. Born on December 11th, 1918, died August 3rd, 2008 in Russia, in a city I can't pronounce. Other famous birthdays today: 1922, the birthday of Dilip Kumar, American actor. 1931, Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, Indian spiritual leader. 1935, Pranab Mukherjee, President of India, was born. And on this day, 1943, John Kerry, United States Senator and Secretary of State, was born. Happy birthday to John Kerry. And it's also the birthday in 1969 of Viswanathan Anand, Indian chess player. So a big day for Indian birthdays of people I can't pronounce. But Ravi Shankar I pronounce. Also an Indian. So big day in Indians events. Just the luck of the draw, I guess, Maybe just a person doing research for this day is one particular
loves
country
India.
they care about. Like, nobody of any significance was born anywhere else today. It is National App Day today. What is National App Day? You know what National App Day. It means you're getting another app on your phone, eating up your memory, wasting time, making sure your life is just one continuous click, 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 click. It's National Stretching Day, and it's UNICEF birthday, which we already covered, and it's National Noodle Ring Day.
Noodle ring.
And of course, it's International Mountain Day. So if you know any international mountains, and I'm looking outside, and after it rained last night, it snowed.
Oh.
There's actually a dust on top of the grass. So as the sun comes up, I see snow outside. So that's the news for today, including a look out the window for Before Coffee on December 11th, 2023.
All right, and this has been Allison from the Netherlands, where it has not snowed. Just ice storms still, just icy. So don't be safe out there, don't slip, and watch out for black ice as we go on to our second week of December here on Before Coffee. Tomorrow, Good News Tuesday. And here is your mic drop moment.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.